G'day guys, my name is Wildcard and welcome back to my channel. Super Rugby Round 9, second game on a Friday night. The Melbourne Rebels versus the Queensland Reds in Melbourne. This is a interesting game. This was a on and off game. This was a game of some positives and some negatives as well. So let's have a look at it and let's talk about it. So first up, this was a big improvement for the Rebels. They went from every game, the Rebels seems to be improving. They went from losing a couple of the games at the start, even losing to the Fijian Honduras, to really slowly and steadily coming back with that good work from Matt Tuamura, managing the game really well overall for the Rebels. And also you can clearly see their attacking set pieces really improved a lot. The scrummaging, they managed that quite well. The lineouts, the maul, massive improvement from the Rebels, putting the Reds defense under pressure with the maul. A team has known to be really dominant in the 4-pack, and the Rebels really show they've been doing those drills. They've been working really hard to get those set pieces down packed. And also the Rebels attacking structure in terms of running game is really improved as well. Just quick balls. The forwards are setting up quite well to run around Matt Tuamura and play around Joey Powell in the situations, in the positions that are really good. And also the breakdown speed has improved a lot for the Rebels, and overall this was a really good performance by Rebels. What did let them down is the defense. The Rebels seems to be inconsistent with their defense. They seem to, like, every now and then when they're under pressure, it does look like the team is panicking. Not everyone, some players does look like they're panicking, and like those 50-50 balls, those 50-50 results, just because of the panic, seems to go against the Rebels way too many times. That was exemplified against the Reds tonight. So maybe experience is another issue, maybe leadership is an issue. So yeah, it's definitely not like you know, in previous weeks where it's clearly just a skill issue between the players, something that the coaches need to work on. It's clearly something that's more to do with mentality, something that's not really directly related to a skill issue as a result of the Rebels losing this game. So the Reds, on the other hand, like I was saying, in a lot of those 50-50 circumstances, were able to get the win of the toss and was able to walk away with this win. Despite actually having, I thought, play worse than the Rebels. The first half, the Rebels actually had more territory, more possession than the Reds. But the Reds, only having those small opportunities, were able to capitalize just really like small mistakes from the Rebels, able to score tries. There was a Rebels attack where they linked up really well with their support team, looking like they're going to score one of the best tries in Super Rugby, running like 50 meters down the sideline, and then to get the ball turned over, the Reds does exactly the same thing, counterattacks, and scores the try down the other end. And there was like an intercept try as well in the first half against the Rebels. And it's just like small things like that really show, like, when the pressure piles on, yeah, that 50-50 situation, the Rebels are not able to get themselves across the line. And yeah, it was really kinda interesting to say. By the way, Angus Gardner was not the referee for this game. So despite it says Angus Gardner here, it was not Angus. It was Damon Murphy. So yeah, I know my referees. It was Damon Murphy, not Gardner. And also the Reds. So for the Reds to be able to walk out with the win this game was really surprising. The Reds seems to be over relying on their kicking a little bit more than they used to as well. This was really showed in the second half when the Reds are ahead. They're really happy to just kick the ball away and try to play in the try to diffuse that pressure, even without, like, happy to play without the ball as long as, you know, it's not inside their own half. That was the mentality from the Reds, which resulted for the Rebels actually getting the lead in the second, taking over the lead in the second half before the Reds finally, you know, put the hammer down and put themselves back onto the scoreboard. The Rebels finished really strong, tried to go for a win at the end, but the Reds were able to kind of close out the game. It was just, again, really safe, really kind of like, really like safe options to just, you know, run the clock down with the 4-pack to finish off the game with a win. So yeah, it was uncharacteristic by the Reds. And then again, the Rebels really gave away some of those situations. Yeah, in the second half as well, the Rebels had an opportunity where they were like basically they were like from a kickoff, and the Reds just like throw this, I think it was McDermott, threw this pass that literally looked like went forward. It was like rolling on the ground. It was a bit of a mess. And the Rebels players just look indecisive whether they want to jump on the ball or whether they want to defend the defensive line. Just look really indecisive for a minute. And the Reds player scoops it up, just runs straight through the defensive line, and nobody like touched him essentially. And then I think it was McWright who scooped it up. Yeah, and then he just like links up with Fluke, scores Reds last try on the 67th minute. So yeah, interesting stuff for the Rebels, but it looks really promising. The performance by the Rebels definitely improving every week. Yeah, but it's still quite a bit of I think it's just probably just experience. Will probably get that little bit of those situations, get themselves a little bit better in the coming up few weeks. So just some stats. At halftime, the Rebels actually, despite down 15 points to 24, they were actually had way more attacking opportunities. 56 carries to 36. The Reds had to make 68 tackles to the Rebels 34. But the Reds made 68 tackles, only missed 10 at halftime. The Rebels only have to make 34 tackles and then miss 10. So that's like a 30% tackle miss rate, right? It's a super poor defense. Just like those little things that, it's just almost like that panic sets in every now and then the Rebels just falls apart. Really interesting there. The penalty count at halftime, 1 against the Rebels, 6 against the Reds. So the Rebels were really disciplined, but they just those panic moments that let the ball slips away really saw the Reds pull themselves ahead of the scoreboard, despite on the stats clearly losing to the Rebels. And full-time stats, so the Reds end up being 524 run meters to the Rebels 374. Really pulled themselves back in the second half. Turnovers conceded, the Reds conceded 14, Rebels 11. Tackles made, 93 tackles made for the Rebels, 20 missed tackles, and the Reds 108 to 14 missed tackles. So yeah, the Rebels tackle count is still much better in the second half in terms of tackle rate, but still not great. And the Reds tackle count really improved in the second half as well. So overall, lineout lost. 4 lineouts lost for the Reds. That is huge. Like I said, the Rebels really look like they worked on their set pieces. And yeah, those lineout steals, this messing up the Reds lineout, really impressive performance there as well. 1 scrum loss against the Reds as well. So that's, again, really good management on the scrummaging. I think the Reds did have scrum dominance, especially when Tupou was on the field in the second half. But the Rebels just managed it and not like actually lose any ball, lose any penalties to the Reds. Just really clearly practicing in their set pieces there. Penalty count, again, the Rebels actually really disciplined in this game. 5 penalties considered in the second half, 1 in the first half, whereas the Reds considered 11 overall, 5 in the second half, and 1 yellow card for the Reds against the Reds for, I think it was an accidental high tackle for Daugunu. And then, it was just, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. So let's quickly go through some of the summaries of the game, some key stuff that happens. So right from the beginning of the game, the Reds actually gets a penalty right away, and they show respect to the Rebels and kicks the 3 points a minute into the game. And then the Reds continue to build a little bit of pressure against the Rebels. 17 minutes in, James O'Connor gets the ball. He seats the this is like 40 meters out from the Rebels try line. He gets a penalty advantage. Quick decision. Grubber kicks through. This was brilliant. Grubber kicks the ball behind. Paisami chases down, catches the ball. Quick pass off to his winger. And Vest gets in for the first try for the Reds. Just really good execution from the Reds there to get themselves on the board. 25 minutes in, the Rebels, despite having a lot of dominance, not able to get points on the ball, gets a penalty. So the Rebels gets 3 points for the penalty for Tuamura to kick this one. I think Rhys Hodge had an earlier penalty kick as well. They missed that opportunity. So really had those advantage, try to take points out of those. Only able to do so 25 minutes in for the first 3 points. The Rebels actually then followed that up with some really good attack. They had a little kind of line break series to play down the sideline where they kind of basketball the ball back around between the players, and they was able to run 40-45 meters all the way into the Reds 22. Ball gets turned over, and again it's like that panic almost sets in, oh no, this gets the ball turned over. Everybody's kind of looking at each other, and then the Reds just counterattacked. McRae, I think it was McRae who got the ball. A few passes between the Reds players. McDermott gets the ball, runs down open field. No one was there to be able to catch him. Gets in for the second try for the Reds. They looked like there was a high tackle in this series by the Reds in the just leading up into the turnover. But the referee said that the Rebels player fall into the swinging arm. I thought it was probably the right decision there. So no penalty, try, stand, score. It did look like the Melbourne Rebels player falls into the Reds player. So some referee could have given that a penalty, but I think that was the right decision there. It just looked like the Rebels player falling into an arm of the Reds player. There should not be a penalty. And so yeah, that's a try stands. At this point, Sean Maloney was begging the referee to give the try and not to disallow it because it was such a good series of play. Come on, Sean. Yeah, I thought that was a bit unprofessional by Sean as a commentator. You should never just beg the referee to make a wrong decision for the spectacle of the game. The referee should always make the right decision. I thought that was I should probably do a bit better there, Sean. Please don't do that. Sean's good commentator, but sometimes I don't know, when he does that, it's just I just roll my eyes, anyway, the next up, the Reds gets that try out of a really good Rebel series of attack, and then a few minutes later, Rebels are still building pressure. They get their first try on board with Hardwick. Richard Hardwick gets a try following the Reds' yellow card by Dargunu. Gets a shoulder charge high to Hodge. He gets yellow carded with one player in the bin. The Rebels goes for the penalty, goes for the line out, and then just short ball crash. So Hardwick gets a nice crash through for the first try for the Rebels, despite the Rebels having overwhelming, possession at this point. And then as soon as the try was scored, a few minutes later, the Rebels again is building pressure on the Reds. They try to throw a cardio pass, maybe try to push the ball a little bit too hard. Crichton catches the intercept, runs all the way down the field, out of nowhere, scores the third try for the Reds, despite again the Rebels were looking like they're on the front foot. Yeah, so again Reds gets another try. That's quite an easy try for the Reds, for the Rebels. Finally, in the last 2 minutes left of the clock, Rebels continue to build their pressure, gets another penalty, goes for a line out, sets up a more. Again, this showed the Rebels been working on the more, goes over for a more try for the Rebels just before halftime. 2 tries to 3 for the Rebels, 15 points to 24. So really unfortunate. Rebels are so far behind despite having the dominance there in the first half. Second half starts, the game gets kind of weird, I guess, in the second half. The Reds clearly look like they just wanted to hold on to the game. So there was a lot of kicking back and forth between both teams. Especially the Reds looking really playing safe. Just trying, it's 40 minutes left in the game and you just already started playing quite safe. It took 22 minutes before the Rebels finally able to crack the Reds for the first try. Basically, the Rebels were again just managed to build pressure, being patient. They get the ball kind of inside the Reds half, forces a scrum. So the Rebels basically gets that ball out from the scrum. Quick crash ball from the scrum. Clearly a set piece work that they've been practicing. Quick crash ball. Matt Phillips sweeps around using that big size. Quick ball comes out. Throws to Matt Phillips. He crashes through, bumps. He had 3 players on him. Power those legs through. Gets the ball down for the Rebels' third try. And then this was following a penalty, 3 points as well for the Rebels. So Rebels converts this one quite easily in front. gets himself ahead for the first time in this game, 25 points to 24. Yeah, so finally, after 20 minutes of kind of like sleepy kicking game for the Reds, they wake up. Finally wakes up after being behind by 1 point. Reds kicks himself into the gear, immediately responds with the Reds attacking the Rebels. Again, this is Reds attacking the Rebels, and Rebels actually did really well to defend this kind of like first wave of attack from the Reds. They turned the ball over like 5 minutes out from their own try line, and they decided to run the ball out, which is fine. You know, try to run the ball a couple of phases and try to get in a better kicking position. So the Rebels actually found themselves some space. Running, one of the players kind of made a little half break down the center of the field. He gets tackled, and then he just tries to throw a panic pop pass, pop straight back to a Reds player. Again, like panic sets in. This really shouldn't be the position, like in front of you on try line, to throw those 50-50 panic, offloads. You should just go to the ground and recycle the ball and get the clearance kick, right? He panics, tries to throw a offload, and then Reds turn the ball over, and then back onto the attack pressure again. And this time, the Reds built enough pressure. Daniel Tupou gets the ball really close to the try line, powers himself through. Too big, too strong. Goes over under the sticks for the Reds. First try in the second half, first try in the second half, fourth try overall. Right after this try was scored, Reds literally gets the kickoff. The Rebels gets a kickoff, and McDermott throws one of those weird balls that rolls on the ground, like 50-50 passes. And then like again, this is what I was talking about. The Rebels saw this pass, was kind of just the defensive line just almost looked like put off by what was happening. The McDermott scoops up the loose ball, just runs straight through the defensive line. Like everyone was just kind of like almost like expecting the referee to call it a knock on or something. So everyone just kind of stood around and looked at each other, right? And then he runs free, links up with Flug on the wing, and then Flug goes in for the Reds' fifth try. Immediately in like 2 minutes, Reds scores 2 tries. So after like 20 minutes of nothing happening, and then finally the Rebels managed to get a final try on the 74th minute with 5 minutes left. They again built really, really good faces with their following I think it was a line out, couple good like morph on the line outs. Quick ball coming out of those morphs, just crash ball. Elof crashes through. He was too big, too strong. He looked like he got tackled short, but he wiggled himself a bit, and the ball went over the try line. So 74th minute for a try, and then for the final 5 minutes, the Reds were just like holding on, running the clock down, and finally closed out the game, 36-32. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. I thought the Reds is definitely not looking as good as they were. And then credit to the Rebels. Really, really, really look a lot better. Like, honestly, this looks like a team that could potentially upset one or two of those Kiwi teams, to be honest, in the current state of the Kiwis' performance. So, really interesting game. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I thought this Reds team will struggle against the Kiwis this year. And, let me know what your thoughts. The Super Round's coming up next week. This is really interesting to see what's going to happen next week. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.